Tuesday night. A police car stopped by my work just before quitting time, say 8:45. The officer who got out was someone I didn't know. He was also way above my pay grade. This man had brown hair, was clean-shaven, confident, an easy smile, and stood at least 4 inches taller than dirty, unshaven me. He walked inside and spoke with Lionel, my boss. They disappeared behind closed doors for a few minutes, while I lugged a couple more boxes back to storage. My first thought, he was coming for me. I hadn't done anything bad, sort of, but it was illegal. I breathed easier when he left. If he wasn't here for me, then why was he here? Why speak with Lionel? Was something wrong with the company I worked for? He was probably checking on somebody. Didn't matter. If I stayed out of everybody's way, I'd be fine. "See you tomorrow, boss," I yelled as I neared the open loading dock door. Time to go home and roll my tired body into the sleeping bag. I held Lexi's leash loosely, letting my 10-month-old pup play about my legs. She's a pure-blood golden retriever, with a coat as fine as silk, and it shimmers like liquid gold. She's my beautiful baby, and my lifeline. I'm Trevor Crest, a college student with no time, and literally no life. How cliché. And no wardrobe. The hole in my right knee had torn even wider. I'd gotten Lexi as a present from my mom just before life went south, as in Arctic pole kind of south, 8 months ago. Mom was diagnosed with a very aggressive breast cancer 7.5 months ago. Her funeral was 6 months ago. My family broke up soon after. My grandparents came to the funeral. They live in an RV and travel America. Last I heard, they were in the Midwest somewhere. They didn't have the resources, the health, or money to care for kids, like me and my little sister. They didn't even have a permanent house. They took off to live their dream. I hadn't seen them or heard from them for months. Because of all Mom's medical payments, there was no inheritance. Dad declared bankruptcy and found help with his old Tennessee pal, Jack Daniels. I'd been working at Waterton Electrical Supply for 6 hours today. I'm an inventory expert, which means I haul a lot of boxes from the delivery trucks to storage, or from storage to the client's trucks. It was time to head home. After punching the time clock, I unplugged my little flip phone and stored it in my pack, along with the charger. "A couple of things before you go, Trevor." My boss, Lionel Goodtree, jogged over to me. A man in his late 50s, with dark skin, dark eyes, and hair that had once been black, but now was a mix of gray. He was manager of the warehouse, in charge of hiring and firing, and he'd been the only person to give me a chance 6 months ago. He didn't ask any questions, didn't judge me, and handed me my paycheck every Friday. I liked him. "What's up?" I asked. "3 things. Mario is going on vacation for 2 weeks. Can you take morning shift?" Lionel asked. "That's when I take classes at Community Ed, so I can't. Someday I'm going to be someone," I said. "With as hard as you work, I don't doubt it. You're taking me and the missus out to dinner when you do," Lionel said. "You're on. Next thing?" I asked. "The office has been going through employee records, and they can't find your address. Can you stop by the office sometime and talk to them?" Lionel said. "When I get a moment," I said, dodging the issue. Lionel paused and looked away from me. There seemed to be something sad about his eyes. He knelt by my dog and rubbed her golden head. "Trevor, you're a great worker, and I really appreciate all that you do. You know I don't mind Lexi being around. The guys don't care either. But the new girl managing the office, Quinley Waterton, she cares. She's allergic to dogs and complained. Quinley's the cousin to Chase Waterton, the owner, and he issued a proclamation earlier today about no dogs at work. I'm sorry, Lexi can't come back. Quinley doesn't like my dog? I don't have any place to leave her, I said, pulling the leash tight. I had to have my dog. With the cops coming by, and now this, maybe it wasn't safe to stay here. Time to move on. Just leave her home. Make a special place in your bedroom or someplace in your apartment. Give her toys, lots of food and water, and let her sleep all day. She'll be fine, Lionel said. Doesn't work. She's skinny enough to sneak around the dumpster, I said, accidentally telling the truth I kept from him. What do you mean? Lionel said, his eyes narrowing. Crap. Nobody here knew. Since I have to leave, I might as well tell my boss. If I don't tell him something, he'd get suspicious. I avoided looking at him, knelt next to my dog, and said, I'm homeless. I live on the street so I can afford tuition and dog food and just plain living. Can't your family help? Lionel said. What family? Mom died. Cancer. Dad's a drunk, and we got evicted because we couldn't afford to pay Mom's medical bills, let alone rent. I don't even know where Dad is. My sister was placed in foster care. She's got good foster parents. I would have moved in with my boyfriend, but he didn't like my dog. Lexi chewed up his computer cords. So it's the glamorous streets of Vegas for me. That's why it's just me and Lexi, I said. You're alone? Are you serious? Where do you live? Lionel said. I couldn't tell Lionel. If word got back to the cops, things could get even worse. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to be homeless forever. I'm making something out of my life. Lionel, Mom gave me the dog just before she died, and I won't give her up. She's my only family. Lexi is the only bright side in my life. I'm sorry about this. Since Lexi can't come back, I can't come back. I'm giving my notice that I won't be in tomorrow, I said. Son of a biscuit. You really mean you're homeless? Do you have any money, food, a place to get out of the heat? Lionel said. I avoided the question because Lionel was getting a little too close to the truth. I gave him a farewell nod and said, You're a good boss, and I liked working with you. Can I use you as a reference? That's fine. What about your paycheck? He said. I'll swing by next week and pick it up, I answered. I gave my former boss a quick wave and was about to walk out when he yelled, Trevor, wait a second. I turned around while Lionel made a quick phone call and he said, I'll be late tonight. I'll explain later. When he hung up, he turned to me. I want to see where you live, so I'm giving you and Lexi a ride home. You don't need to. I've got bus fare, I said. Don't argue with your boss, Lionel said. Former boss, I said. We climbed into his blue Subaru, picked up a bag of cheap burgers and fries from the drive-thru at Gordon's Gourmet Burgers, and in a few minutes we were in a part of Vegas that had seen better days. On the way, I asked, Why were the police at work? You're not changing subjects. Have you been homeless as long as I've known you? Lionel asked. I stared out the window and didn't say anything more. If the wrong people found out about where I lived, I wouldn't even have that to shelter me. We arrived in my neighborhood. It was quiet, miles from the noise and chaos of the Strip, and far from where the perverts cruised for cheap sex, and the winos usually stayed away, because they preferred to remain close to the stores that sold cheap liquor. Not that the pervs and drunks didn't come this way, but it was pretty rare. As late as it was, old Harold sat on his street corner, just like he always did. A cardboard sign in his hand read, Homeless Vet, be generous. I waved at him. He waved back. His eyes weren't so good, and he was missing a couple of teeth. But he was the nicest person I knew. We were neighbors. His place was a tumble-down shack made from old boards and discarded aluminum siding just down the alley from where I lived. He was one of the few people I called friend. We drove past my home. Home was an old faded building with peeling white paint. The rusted sign out front said Millie's Fashions, but the boarded-up windows were covered in graffiti, and the sidewalk hadn't been cleaned for a couple of summers. Trash bags had piled where someone had dumped them. I had Lionel park a couple of stores down, and we walked down an alley to the back of the store. Old train tracks that hadn't been used for as long as I had been here ran down the center of the alley, and ancient green dumpsters were pushed up against the walls of the abandoned buildings, and it was all covered with a lot of trash. Shifting an old dumpster revealed a hole big enough to crawl through. I crawled into the old dress shop. Lionel followed. Naked mannequins, empty clothing racks, cracked tables, broken mirrors, warped hangers, and a large brown spot on the ceiling where the water from the last rainstorm had seeped in. On the floor was a tattered carpet I used to cover a dark brown stain. "Welcome to my paradise," I said. "Can I get you anything? I have water, but no ice." Lionel shook his head. In the back, where the previous owners had kept all their storage, was where me and Lexi lived. "Here it is," I said. I kept my place organized and neat, and ready to make a fast exit if I needed to. I had stockpiled cans of dog food and found a discount store that sold all kinds of canned goods. I had arranged some of the old woman's wear to make sure the area was hidden from the front. The boarded windows had gaps that still allowed people to peek in. My bed was a rolled-up old sleeping bag I'd rescued from somebody's trash pile. Sitting on a table were my textbooks, my papers, notes from class, and a collection of pens and pencils, all neatly lined up in rows. I had a 2-page essay due in a couple of days, and my handwritten rough draft was ready for me to resume writing. I'd type it on the free computers at the university library. Using some of the old hangers, I had strung up the clothes I had washed last night. Smelling of dust and sweat and laundry detergent, the place didn't have electricity, which meant no air conditioning and no fans. It was hot. My clothes were very dry and very stiff. Near where I slept, a small shelf held the most important items dear to me: a woven bead bracelet my sister had made for me, a copy of Mom's obituary, a dog brush, and a framed family photo taken a year ago. We all smiled. Near that were my journals. Sometimes, to stay sane, I wrote down what was happening at work, how I missed my family, and how hard life was. My boss looked at the tiny space I called home, his expression stoic and flat. I shouldn't have let him come in. Maybe a part of me wanted somebody to know I existed. I hadn't been this nervous or this scared since Mom died. Lionel looked at me and Lexi and said, "It's pretty clean." I shrugged and said, "The city never turned the water off, so I have running water. That's how I wash up. I don't use lights at night because somebody could see and get suspicious. That, and I don't have electricity." Lionel was about to eat one of the burgers, but he wrapped it up and set it with the others. His eyes bubbled with tears. "Just when I thought I had problems, God gives you a wake-up call. You need anything?" "No, I'm trying to be self-sufficient," I said. "Trevor, to be honest, I'm worried about you, and now I'm mad at the Watertons. Let me give you my number, and you promise to call me for any reason. Tell me how you're doing, and I want to know when you get off the streets," Lionel said. "There isn't much to tell," I said. "Tell me that, then. Friday, about noon, come to the office, and I'll have your paycheck ready for you. Maybe I can get Chase to give you a severance package or something," Lionel said. "What about Lexi? I'm not leaving her," I said, as Lionel told me his number. I quickly called him to make sure it was right. "Bring her along," Lionel said. "The owner won't like this," I asked. "Let me take the heat for that," Lionel said. I tried to chuckle, but couldn't. I had to impress on Lionel to keep this place secret. "Don't tell anybody about me living here, okay? If the city finds out I'm here, or the owners, they'll send the police to evict me. It could mean a huge fine and possible jail time. I don't want to get kicked out, and I don't want to go to jail. Who would take care of my dog? Where would I go when I got out?" I said. Lionel gave me a non-committal nod, then walked up and gave me a hug. "I wish you'd said something earlier. Call me if you need anything." Once he'd left, I fed Lexi half of one of the burgers. She doesn't eat much, and I ate one, and took one out to old Harold, and saved the rest for breakfast. Best to be on good terms with the neighbors. Before bed, I finished my essay, folded my dried clothes, and washed the ones I wore today. My nightly ritual. I combed Lexi until her fur was as soft as silk. I especially liked it when she rolled over and let me comb her belly. I saw my wet pants hanging over a hanger. The right knee in my pants had a 6-inch hole in it. Great. If it got any bigger, the leg would rip off. Wednesday morning, with Lexi in her harness, I rode the bus to Community Ed for my classes. Once done, I typed my paper and placed it in campus mail addressed to my professor. Then I wandered about the stores, restaurants, and anything I could find around campus, including the campus, filling out job applications. Every application wanted my address, and every time the manager frowned when I explained I was homeless. They always sent me on my way. We'll let you know. I sighed. The fish weren't biting. I had been lucky to find the job at Waterton's. Would luck strike twice? Not likely. It was near 7 when I climbed off the bus and walked home. Depressed, dejected, and the constant refusals had taken their toll on my confidence. I never really had much of that anyway. Old Harold sat on his corner, holding a sign. I stopped by to chat for a minute. Any luck today? I asked. He kind of shrugged. People were stingy. You? I lost my job yesterday and went job hunting today. No joy there either. What am I going to do? I asked. Old Harold pointed down the way. Just put one foot in front of the other and keep on going. As in, any corner a half-mile away from here. This is my turf. Got it. I'll see you tomorrow, I said. Old Harold shifted in his old chair and squinted at me. Might want to rethink your accommodations. Police car was parked in front of Millie's today. An officer of the law wandered around the building. Don't know what he was doing, but his car was there for 15 minutes. Did he go inside? I asked. Don't know, Old Harold said. Did somebody report me? I said. Don't know that either. You know that place is haunted, right? Old Harold said. I've never seen anything, I said. Woman was murdered there 10 years ago. Guy stabbed her and she bled out. That's why nobody wants that place, Old Harold said. Why'd he do it? I asked. Rumor is she had an affair and her husband got jealous, Harold said. They catch the guy? I asked. Don't think so. Watch your back, kid, Old Harold cackled. A car slowed to give him a $1 bill. The police had been here? Had somebody seen me sneaking in and reported me? Had Lionel told someone? The dumpster shielding the hole I crawled through to get inside was still in place. All my gear was where it should be. I didn't have much to begin with, so it was easy to tell if anyone had shifted anything. Like my textbooks, like the rug. One of my textbooks were open. I kept them closed. Somebody had pulled the rug away from the brown stain on the floor. That must be where the woman was killed. I quickly adjusted the rug to cover the bloodstain. Somebody had been in my home. I did a quick inventory. Nothing was missing. As I was unloading my pack on the table, I found a small business card. It had the logo for the Las Vegas Metro Police Department and a name, Officer Yanis Adamos, with several phone numbers. One was circled. The card had a small message scribbled on it. Trevor, call me. It's important. Yan. How did he know my name? Of course. The paper I was writing had my name on it and lay on the table. It was also on the first page of my journals. Had he read them? That was private. Face it, I've been discovered. The city is about to kick me out. My stomach went cold, and if I had been hungry, I wasn't anymore. This place had been ideal. But the police had been here, and they would tell the owner that somebody had been squatting here. How long would it take to seal the place so nobody could get in? Old Harold was right. I'd need to find a new home. Where? Worry about it tomorrow. Tonight, I had to read 20 pages and put together another paper, and if I had time, I'd type it on the library's free computers tomorrow. I wouldn't have time. I had to find a new place to live and a new job. Once I finished my readings, I packed everything up as best I could, combed Lexi, and lay on my sleeping bag listening to Lexi snore. Lexi's dog food and my textbooks and the picture of my family were the most important. I had to keep them with me. If the weather was good, I could walk my stuff over to a freeway overpass near St. Horace's soup kitchen and food bank and camp out there. It wasn't as secure as here and didn't have running water, but I'd manage. I'd never heard of the cops chasing people out of there, but I'd need a tent if I wanted privacy. At least St. Horace's liked dogs and often had dog food. Thursday morning, the place hadn't cooled down much. It never did. I packed up my dog, my textbooks, some dog food, my schoolwork, and some clothes. I'd need some boxes. Where would I sleep tonight if Millie's was boarded up? The card from the officer still lay on the table. Would it be worth calling him? I already knew what he would say. You are in violation of city ordinance blah 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 and trespassing blah blah blah. Vacate the premises before we press charges. Would they put my dog in a shelter? How much time would he give me to move? The city didn't have to give me any. I called the number and got an answering machine. I somehow said, I'm Trevor. Please don't kick me out. Not yet anyway. I need more time. You don't have to worry. I didn't do any damage, even fixed a couple of things, and the place is clean. The hole by the dumpster was already there. I didn't make it. I'm moving as soon as I find a place. Just give me a little time, please. And hung up. Old Harold sat in his chair, his grin a mix of missing teeth and rotted teeth. He displayed his sign to every car that passed. I waved. He waved. I hurried to catch my bus. I finished my classes, wrote up my new paper with a pen, and campus mailed it to my professor. He'd dock points and complain, but it was one thing I didn't have to worry about. I gave up job hunting about 3. I caught the bus and went home. Could Lionel help me find a new place? I vetoed that idea immediately. I waved at Harold. He waved back, and then pointed at Millie's. It arrived about 5 minutes ago. I froze and ducked into a shadow. A police car was parked out front. I snuck down the alley to see if he knew about the hole in the back. A man in police blues knelt by the dumpster, looking into the hole that served as my entrance. He knew about my place all right. I hid out of sight. The police officer pulled out his phone and called. Another phone rang, though it was much fainter. Why was he calling my phone? My unlucky day. My flip phone was by my journals where I had left it so it would be safe. The man crawled inside. Officer Yanis Adamos, I presume. Handsome, short brown hair, tan skin, and easygoing attitude. If it had been better times, I would have gone up and talked to him. Wait a second. Wasn't that the same officer that had visited Lionel the other day? I forced myself quiet so he wouldn't hear me. This was too much of a coincidence. The police were after me. There was only one reason Officer Adamos would be here. Eviction. If they didn't find me inside, they couldn't press trespass and illegal squatting charges, right? I had less time than I thought. Time to abandon my home. Well, I can't call it a home, because I knew this day would come. When the officer finally left, I snuck in and checked to make sure everything was okay. I had 3 messages from Officer Yanis Adamos on my phone. All were variations of the same thing. Call me. I was too scared to. Friday, I ran to the bus stop. Today was a repeat performance of yesterday. Research and typing on the free computers, more job applications with people that gave me a polite smile when I told them I didn't have a regular address. I was too tired and too depressed to hop on the bus to go see Lionel. My paycheck would wait until next week, because I wanted to sleep. Lexi and I stepped off the bus and walked over to Old Harold. Are you sure you haven't robbed a bank and haven't given Old Harold part of the cut? Old Harold sneered. Why? I asked. About 30 minutes ago, the cop was here again, and he asked me if I knew you. He mentioned you by name. Why are the police looking for you? And there was a woman with him, nice-looking, high heels, and a tailored suit. What have you done, or who have you pissed off? Old Harold said. What did you tell him? I asked. The truth. I had no idea where you were or when you'd be back. They went into your place carrying a box, old Harold said. I panicked. They are moving me out already? My stuff is still in there. Can I get in? That woman must have been the owner. It's happening, Howard. They're kicking me out, I said. The party is over. Do you think they already boarded up the hole in back? I didn't hear any hammering, old Harold said. Best not to be here when they come back, kid. I had to move out tonight. Where would I go? My stomach knotted up with panic, and I was about to be sick. I snuck down the alley, to the back of Millie's. I expected to find the dumpster shoved to a new spot and the hole boarded up. But the dumpster was where it should be. I shoved it over, and the hole was still there. They'd be back tomorrow morning to finish the job. I'm screwed. I checked inside the dumpster. Empty. At least my clothes and canned goods weren't there. That's a plus. Were they leaving the box so I could pack up and move out? Millie's had been a good home, and I'd miss it. Once I got to my space, I quickly checked to make sure everything was there. The canned goods were lined up, so was the dog food, and the clothes hung on their hangers, already dried. My journals were by my sleeping bag. My family picture was safe, so was my phone. I put my phone in my pocket. I set my pack on the table. Something extra waited for me, and I started crying. What had they done? A new pair of pants, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush, a bar of soap, a dozen cans of dog food, a razor and shaving cream, some fresh strawberries, a couple of oranges, waited for me on the table. In the middle of the table was a box of a dozen donuts. Beside that was a battery-powered fan with several packs of batteries. I turned the fan on and let it blow on me. I collapsed in one of the old chairs and ate a donut and some strawberries and fed Lexi some dog food. Officer Adamos's card lay on top of the pair of pants. One of the phone numbers was circled, with a quick note next to it. Trevor, I want to help. Let's do lunch. I'm buying. Yanis. Next to that was another card. Shelley Masters. It also had a note on it. Let's find you a real home. Why did that make me panic? Why did the tears start running? This didn't make any sense. They gave me stuff? And Yanis wants to buy me lunch? Who were these guys? I pulled out my phone, and my heart beat fast, and dialed Officer Adamos's number. It rang once before he picked up. Hello? Why? I said. Trevor, promise me you'll stay put. I'll be at your place in an hour to take you out to dinner. Shelley can't make it, but my uncle can, he said. Your uncle? I asked. Give us an hour. I steadied my breath. About an hour later, I sat on the corner with old Harold, my pack beside me, and Lexi on her leash. As I combed Lexi, I shared the strawberries with old Harold and gave him an orange. Old Harold quietly humped to get my attention and pointed at Millie's. He whispered, I think you got somebody sweet on you. The cop car pulled up, and a man climbed out, but he wore a t-shirt and shorts and sandals. He knocked on the front of the store. Trevor, are you here? I'm coming around back. Are you Officer Adamos? I asked. He turned, jogged over to me, and gave me a pleasant smile. Trevor, it's good to finally meet you. My friends call me Yan. My uncle will be here in a second. He held his hand out for Lexi to sniff. Lexi licked his hand. Beautiful dog. I understand her name's Lexi, Yan said, ruffling my dog under the chin. I nodded. Why aren't you arresting me? A few years ago, I was exactly where you are now, a lost gay kid trying to figure out how to survive. It was a different part of Vegas, and my place was sandwiched between a couple of dumpsters. Somebody helped me climb off the streets, helped me into the police academy, and now it's my turn to help you. Did you know we have almost 8,000 homeless people in Vegas? So many? I asked. It gets scarier. 40% of the homeless youth are gay. That's people who are 25 or younger. When they get kicked out of their homes or have to run away for some reason, where can they go? That's thousands of kids, I said. Jan stared in the distance as if remembering. If you're homeless, life is hard. If you're gay and homeless, you have to deal with issues that make life a nightmare. Living on the streets, you do things you never thought you'd do, deal with ugliness that most people aren't aware of. For some, that nightmare is better than living with their parents. Are you talking about you? I asked. The pain in Yanis's face made me tear up. I reached over and took his hand and gave it a small squeeze. Yanis nodded, but he didn't pull away. Let's just say life was really hard, and I'm not proud of how I survived. I don't want you to have to do the things I did. Something about the look between us, about the pain we both shared, seemed like it bonded us together. Our eyes joined. Did I hug him because of his pain, or did he hug me because of mine? A blue Subaru pulled up. Another man got out. Son of a biscuit, this might work out after all, Lionel said. Jan and I quickly stepped apart. You're Jan's uncle? I said. That's what I call him. He's the man who gave me a chance, Jan said. Trevor, let's get you off the streets, Lionel said. Jan, did you ask him yet? Just getting to it. Trevor, I need a roommate, but it's your choice, Jan said. We don't know each other, I said. I know enough about you. Even though your place is old and run down, you took care of it. It's as clean as you could make it. You don't have a police record, but you do go to college. You're trying to better yourself, and that I can respect. I'm sorry about your mom dying and your family breaking up, Jan said. You told him about my mom? I said to Lionel. Of course. Jan had to know what we were dealing with, Lionel said. To be honest, while I was waiting for you the other day, I picked up a book that turned out to be your journal. I shouldn't have, but I read a couple of pages before I stopped, Jan said. You read them? I asked. Just enough to remember where I came from. Your life has been chaos and tragedy, and you're barely treading water. You need a friend, and I can be that friend, Jan said. Trevor, I'm not going to let the streets destroy you. I've seen that happen, and I'm not going to let it happen to you, Lionel said. Live with me while you get your life back together. We'll split the bills 50-50, and my complex takes pets. Since my boyfriend left, I've got the room. If living with me isn't an option, there's a shelter with social workers that Shelley works at, and they can help you find a job and a place to stay. Either way, it's got to be better than an old crime scene with no electricity and boarded-up windows, Jan said. It's got running water, I said. It's only advantage. My place has air conditioning and a nice stove and a big refrigerator. Even has its own washer and dryer hookups. Better yet, you can have your own room, Jan said. Lionel placed a hand on my shoulder. And it gets you and Lexi off the streets. You've never talked about it, but you've had a tough time. Let us help. We can move you into my place tonight. Stay with me 6 months, and if we don't work out, I'll help you find a new place. But let's get you a home. Someplace safe and clean, and you don't have to worry about your dog, and where you can lock the door if you need to, Jan said. When I didn't respond, Lionel held up a rectangular piece of paper. I brought your paycheck with me. The Watertons don't understand what it's like. I guess they've never had it hard. But I told the other guys what was happening, and they understood. I've got a box in my back seat filled with stuff they and their families donated, like food, some toiletries, a couple of blankets, and Mario gave me some doggy toys. The guys are worried about you. Come by Monday, and I think we can get you your old job back. Thanks, I said, turning away so they wouldn't see me tear up. Jan placed an arm around my shoulders and smiled. What do you say we climb into the old store, pack up your stuff, and bring you to your new home? That night, after showering and shaving and looking human again for the first time in months, I lay in my sleeping bag, Lexi beside me, and listened to the hum of the washing machine wash my clothes. I stared at the picture of my family and remembered the funeral. Maybe Mom had been watching out for me because today had turned into a dream. I was about to write in my journal when Jan knocked on my door. Hey, roomie, don't you clean up nice? I've popped popcorn and the pizza is done. Do you want to watch a movie? That's the first date I've had in a year, and look at the cutie I'm going out with, I said. Flirting. I think somebody's feeling better. Are you coming? Jan said, flashing a smile. He took my hand and pulled me up. I took one last look at my family picture, and at the new picture next to it. Old Harold had taken one of me, Jan, and Lionel right before I said goodbye to my neighbor. I left Old Harold a couple of donuts and Shelley's card. The pizza smelled delicious, and I hadn't had fresh popcorn for too long. I couldn't help but grin as I led my dog into the living room, where we joined the angel who had changed our lives. The end. I'm Gio, and thank you everybody for listening. I appreciate it. See you next Wednesday. Peace.